Navigating for the unmute button. Hello, friends. Hello. And welcome to a very exciting week. One that I have personally been waiting for here on Dork Discourse. Finally, the week that we can unhash and discuss the finally Andor Season 2 official trailer, which dropped perfectly timed yesterday. Yesterday morning for those of us on the West Coast here. But we, of course, have all, I hope, had time to watch it, time to unpack it, and then, of course, more news, more developments. We've got a Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Jesus Lord, Revenge of the Sith re-release. That is going to be really hard to say from here until April 25th or 26th. Is that April 25th?
Mm-hmm.
I think it will be back in theaters for, I think, only a week's worth of time. It's going to be short. So we got to be on top of that, be on our game, getting our tickets, get locked and loaded. Assume your battle stations, y'all. This is not a drill. If you're like me and a prequel baby who was forbidden from going to the theaters to see it because you were 9 years old at the time and your parents were looking out for you, then yeah, this is going to be a momentous month. April is just going to be off the charts here. We got Celebration, we've got Andor. Many of you guys, I didn't know this. We learned from you guys in the comment section of our reaction that Andor, the release schedule, is going to be 3 episodes per week, and therefore the whole season will conclude within the span of 4 weeks, which we're going to talk about that. We've got so much to unpack. So welcome, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Sean, John Blake, my mom's up in here. First one my mom's caught in a while. I guess she hasn't been getting the notifications. You had evil parents, says John, in reference to not being allowed to go see it. In their defense, I'll never forget that there's an internal unhealed 9-year-old within me that will never recover from the permanent scarring of watching Anakin burn to a crisp on Mustafar. So if I had seen that on the big screen, you know what, I probably would be worse for the wear. So they had my best interests at heart. Plus it was PG-13, right?
Mm-hmm.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
Colin's here.
When PG-13 actually meant
something. Yeah. Stanley, Jerry. I saw Alice up in the early gang, but she will not be able to be here, unfortunately. But it's okay, Queen. We'll catch you in the rewatch. Yep. Richard Rogers, welcome. Good evening. So hello, friends. Thank you, Emery's. Let's get it. I think I saw Bird Church. Everybody's here. Gang's all here. It's a party.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for tuning in. I saw Revenge of the Sith when I was 8, says John. Yup. We were youngsters. We were susceptible to permanent scarring.
Yeah. I know you opened with Andor.
Well, I think we're going to talk about Revenge of the Sith.
Andor is, in my opinion, the second biggest piece of news.
Well, I didn't know that they were going to announce, of course. They continued to have new developments as soon as I created the stream and was like, we're going to have Andor. We're finally going to be able to talk about this freaking trailer that we've been waiting millennia for. And you had some very spicy thoughts about the trailer. You had a very hot take that I thought the people would be interested to hear. And it might help put other people at ease because I think it was a bit of a different trailer. Not what we were all expecting. And I've seen some divided takes on it. So, but then of course they had to announce Revenge of the Sith return.
It's official. Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Episode 3. Back in theaters. It'll be the first time that we will see it on the big screen. As most of you probably know, it is my personal favorite Star Wars thing of all time. It's up there for you, even though Kat here thinks that it's too tragic. But that aside, watching it on the big screen is going to be very, very special.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to go see, that was last year that they re-released Phantom Menace. And similarly, we were barely sentient when that movie came out, so we were not in theaters as infants, newborns, going to see that one. But for this, but even just that, because I was like, okay, how different is this going to be? But it felt like seeing it again for the first time. Like, I felt born anew. It was like I was reborn after being able to finally see that movie on the big screen for some reason, even though I've watched it however many times. Revenge of the Sith, even more so than Phantom Menace. You know, we practically have that movie memorized start to finish. So, but just, it really is different. It just hits different on the big screen. Daddy Josh has joined. Let's go.
Yeah, well, those movies were truly made for the big screen with the full
Yeah.
theatrical surround sound and full silver screen, big screen picture and mind-blowing visuals and graphics and CG, revolutionary CG for its time,
Yeah.
and still holds up. Literally still holds up.
Yep.
The CG in Revenge of the Sith is literally better than, I would say, everything that's been shot in the volume ever.
Yeah, I mean, even just how
Is that accurate?
revolutionary. No, because we
I
were
think it is.
we were rewatching. We after we secured our Hayden Christensen photo op tickets for Celebration, we had to celebrate and rewatch Revenge of the Sith. It had been a few minutes, and if we go, God forbid, 1 month without watching Revenge of the
No,
Sith, Tom gets very antsy.
It's been a while.
It has been because, yes, to your
And
point,
I am antsy.
your earlier
I wasn't.
point rings true that I physically cannot watch Revenge of the Sith too many times within the span of a year because it does just weigh on my soul. Every time I watch it, I pray secretly that it's going to turn out differently and we're going to get an alternate universe where Anakin doesn't slice off Mace Windu's arm and everything just doesn't go to shiz after that. But unfortunately, that will never, that's a pipe dream. That'll never happen. But that said, we were rewatching it and I was remarking on, yeah, this will stand the test of time. Even just the technology with Yoda, for example, you don't even get some of that anymore with entire CGI characters. So, you know, it definitely, it's still, all of that holds up.
Yeah.
And I think it'll just be even more epic on the big screen, of course.
I mean, just every time I watch it, I come away from that movie and I'm like, I mean, this is literally George Lucas's
Magnum opus.
theatrical goodbye in everything. And you know, and you can see that he went all in. 100% all in, completely locked in to make Revenge of the Sith the best possible movie that he could. I mean, every single scene and shot and planet and worlds is just like completely mind-blowing level of detail with the visuals and the background and the characters.
Character design, needless to say.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's insane how
much we've even regressed in Star Wars.
Like the opening sequence, the battle over Coruscant. I mean, you pause it wherever you want. You're going to see like 2 million ships with all fighting each other. Like it literally, you are immersed in this planet-wide, space-wide conflict. And even just the scenes where it's just Anakin and Obi-Wan in the cockpit. There's like 14 fighters flying by and droids flying by and some Star Destroyer or some Veners getting blown up. Like it is insane. And then you go to Coruscant and the visuals there are ridiculous. The Senate chamber ridiculous. All the senators and the aliens, Utapau and the Utapauans and all the creatures and things there, all the different ships, Mustafar. Like it is absolutely insane. And even the level of detail they give to the Order 66 scenes when it's just going to planet and Felucia.
Yeah.
Kashyyyk. They didn't need to add in 1 million Wookiees fighting 1 million Jords.
They didn't have to go that hard.
When it's just scenes looking at Yoda. But it's a full-scale battle. The whole thing is literally full-scale, galactic-wide conflict. And you just it's like there would have been so easy for so much of that movie to not be in there. But George Lucas is like, this is my last feature film. I'm going all in. I'm leaving nothing on the table. I'm going full investment. And George and company with Lucasfilm at the time, I mean, you can tell that they went all in every way possible in that movie.
Yeah, they spare no expense, even just...
And let alone the score itself.
Well,
I mean...
Guess what that's saying.
John Williams, best... I mean, just incredible.
I think one thing that the prequels have that I find myself missing in current Star Wars is, and again, this is just fresh in my mind because we just rewatched it 2 days ago. It's been 48 hours, not even. But every scene, as you're saying, even for moments where there might be extras on screen for 2 seconds worth of screen time, every single one of them is dressed to the nines, believable. They don't shy away from aliens. And yes, there's a difference between the Star Wars we've been getting as of late, which is mostly television budgets and whatnot, so there's confines and limitations to that, versus this was the final feature film in, the prequel trilogy. So we're rocking with different budgets, of course, but I don't know, I'd be curious to see
And at the time,
what
the
was the
final
Revenge of the
Star Wars
Sith
movie
budget?
ever.
This was over 20 plus years ago now, so yeah, inflation to account for that. But I feel like
I don't think budget matters. I think that it was probably less expensive, including inflation, than the modern Star Wars movies because they did much more with less.
Yeah. Oh, that's just that's the crux of it all when it comes to movie making in general.
The sequels, for whatever reason, when they went into making the sequels, it was like, oh my God, everyone hated the prequels. So we got to go back to the originals and do everything practical. Can't have any, all we got to be on location for all these shots. Versus George, it's like the whole movie, everybody can be shooting these scenes in blue screen environments, green screen environments, and build these insane worlds that you would never find on Earth. And that's totally fine. Which I think is a lot cheaper.
David,
flying to all across the planet.
Yeah. David, you said it perfectly. I think they overlook how important those small details are. Yes, you perfectly articulated what I'm trying to say, which is why the prequels will hold up in spite of, no matter how dated they may feel or they may be, there's so quality to them that still feels more tangible and believable and immersive than films that we've gotten today, so really good point. Somebody was saying, Church said, Revenge of the Sith over the years slowly snuck up on the list to become my favorite Star Wars film. I knew it would happen in time when it wasn't yet number one. It gets better with every watch. 1,000%. Yeah, and that's another thing too. A testament to a good movie is how many times you can rewatch the whole thing. And like I said, every single time I still am overcome with this wave of maybe it'll be different. Yep. Maybe it'll be different. And of course, there's that delusion. Yes, I'm just, being delusional and whatnot. What are you guys talking about? Says my non-nerdy. Yeah, this probably sounds like a foreign language.
Yeah. I mean, the Bird Church, it's been number one on my list ever since I've seen it, but it still gets better for me every time I watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so John makes a good point. Most of the planets were miniatures. Yeah, there's a lot of miniature work. And so like the one that stands out to me is the Mustafar miniature. They have that whole miniature with like actual lava flow that they created, and they shot like all those landscape shots are all just them shooting that miniature with the real, not actual lava, but visually looking like a lava flow going down the miniature. Like it's insane.
Why did those go out of style? Why did people sacrifice those for total CGI? Because Lord of the Rings employs miniatures as much as well for locations and stuff like that, and it holds up. I don't know. This is not all this is to say, Revenge of the Sith has stood the test of time. We're all going to be flocking to the theaters in April. Somebody said earlier in the chat that April is officially Star Wars month, and it's been a hot minute since we could say that. Yeah, it's interesting. All this is happening in April versus what's going to happen May the 4th, but May the 4th is in April this year.
Andor?
Well, Andor...
Is that one of the Andor days?
Oh, potentially? I don't know. But Andor is going to be short-lived, so let's we can get into that. Yeah. We've got hot off the press. Tom's got a very, I don't know. You had a very visceral, immediate reaction that I'm sure other people will resonate with, and I'm sure you can all deduce and assume where this is going, but it has to do with the music choice that they used for the trailer. I just claimed in my reaction that yes, I was shocked by it. I've since learned the symbolism of the song that they chose, which is a real life, song that exists in the human world. Hello, Matthew. Welcome, welcome. The human world and our realm in our universe. And since learning more of the symbolism and the timing of when that song was released and what it stood for, I do think it's a bold, interesting choice. I can see why they did it, but I still have my own personal opinions when it comes to using contemporary music in Star Wars, and I just think it's a very fine line. And it can take me out personally, so that said,
Yeah,
that was very much the case for you.
That was a very nice way to put it, but it completely took me out of it. I mean, I watched the trailer once, I haven't watched it again. Completely took me out of it and just felt like just so completely out of left field. I agree though that yes, I know what they're going for with the symbolism of that song and when it released and what it has meant in the real world in the past. And this is just a trailer. They will certainly not use that song in the show. If they do, then that is a completely horrible thing for them to do. Because for me, like yes, music is totally important. And the music in Star Wars is one of the best things about Star Wars. But if you're trying to tell a story and immerse the audience in a fictional sci-fi world, and then you introduced elements of our real world into that story, which there's always going to be elements like political themes and elements and just human emotion, like that's always going to be there. But like tangible things, like, oh, I go on Spotify and play that song, and then, oh, it's now playing out of a speaker in Cassian's house. It's like that is just instantly ripping out of the experience. So it's just a trailer. This by no means has me concerned for the product that will be Andor Season 2. I think of the visuals and the shots they actually showed in the trailer, I mean, we've got Krennic looking over the Death Star construction. That's a highlight. We got K2SO back. We got a lot of the characters from the first season. Bix and the guy, Brasso coming back. Serial Boy and Serial's mom are going to be back.
And some new characters that appears.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of shots of bigger Empire and stormtroopers and military facilities and things of that nature. So certainly excited there. Lots of shot of Luthen and Luthen's right-hand woman.
Yeah.
And right-hand woman and Cassian blowing something up straight on Coruscant. So I think that was Coruscant. So
Emery says, in regards to the song choice, y'all are sounding off. Emery says it was a great choice for a trailer. Sean's point, music is important. Just watch Cat's reaction to the Kenobi trailer. Yes, 1,000%. I think music can make or break a trailer. Sal says, I don't think we will hear the music in the show. Let's be real, just think they used it for some reason for this trailer. But yes, I believe Nicholas Bertel is returning to score the show. Yep. I hope so. Somebody pointed out, Emery's mentioning that yes, they did do something similar for the Skeleton Crew, and they chose a contemporary sounding. It was a cover done in a Star Wars alien language, at least, so it was kind of like an in-universe twist on it.
Yeah.
Sean says it was definitely a choice, but I kind of liked it. I wasn't a fan of the music for the first time I heard it, says Bird Church, but by the third or fourth time, I realized I was tapping my toes and nodding my head. So yes, I think everybody, Daddy Josh says I was shocked by the music, but I didn't mind it for the trailer. Although I hope they go back to the season 1 soundtrack for the show. Oh, yes. And Colin, thank you so much, my friend. Also, I'm glad you're able to join. I know we're usually streaming very late for you, so thanks for being here, my friend. Good to see you. Member for 36 months. So excited for Andor Season 2. I will watch Star Wars Celebration from home, but can't wait to see your photos. Y'all have the best time there. I will see you in the theater in London. Yes. Awesome. That is so exciting, and we will certainly be spamming y'all with photos, videos, vlogs, streaming after the fact. We're going to be exhausted, and then we're going to come home and have not 1, but 3 whole episodes of Andor to watch that following Tuesday. So that's something I certainly want to unpack and see how y'all are feeling, because now that it's actually finally happening, this is something that we always are like begging into the ether. I feel like you and I, because we've had that debate of whether Star Wars would benefit from releasing arcs of shows. Like, apparently I think that's what this is going to be, this formula, or
it's
doing
4 3-episode arcs.
Yeah, or if they would benefit from the Netflix treatment of just drop the whole show at once so people can binge it and consume the product in its entirety and not have that impeded by, oh, I have to wait a week now and this episode was only 27 minutes. What am I supposed to do? So that's something we're always like putting out there, begging, thinking that it would be better, I think, because it eliminates that part of the equation of, oh, people have time to toil over. This episode was only 30 minutes. I need more. This wasn't satisfying. Now I gotta wait a week. It takes all of that out of the equation and presents you the arc in its entirety. Now, maybe I'm a little bit like Boy Who Cried Wolf, because now that it's happening, I'm like, well, I can't have my cake and eat it too, because it means the show's going to be over now.
Who cares?
In 4 weeks.
Who cares? It'll mean it's a much better viewing experience to experience the show.
Yeah.
Totally much better. And each of these arcs are like at least a year apart.
That's right.
So it's going to be like a mini, basically a movie, 4 weeks in a row, with a time gap in between each of the 4 arcs. So viewing wise, this is like it's perfect. This is exactly what we've been preaching about on here for years. For years we've been talking about this. Like, for the viewing experience, for every reason you just said, the way that they're outlining this and laying this out, and they're going to give it to us, is perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect for the viewing experience, which, if you'd ask Disney shareholders and the Disney executives, they probably don't like it very much for the exact reason you said, where, oh, instead of 3 months,
12 weeks to 4 weeks.
Yeah. Now it's 1 month. Someone can pay for 1 month of Disney Plus and watch the whole show versus paying for 3 months. But the counter argument is, well, they could just get a free trial and binge the whole thing when it's out, and then cancel the free trial and never pay for it at all.
Fair.
So they could just do that. But I think now, with 1 month, it is arguably a little more tempting to just pay for it and watch it while it's going out, because then you can, in 1 month's pay, see the whole show. But from the viewing experience, this is, I think, the best scenario that we could possibly ask for.
Especially for Andor, which it became abundantly clear after episode 3 of season 1 that, oh, this show is formulaic. It's constructed into these arcs. And I think certainly 1,000%, we just recently did our Andor rewatch of season 1. Hits so much better. It really does all sink in so much better when you can watch each arc to its full extent, what it is meant to be, how it's presented. So to then present them as groups of 3, I think it's rebounding a little bit, because I think, I don't know, holler at me, all attest to this if you agree or not, but for season 1, the first few weeks were very confusing, because it was like, okay,
well, they dropped all 3 at one time.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
first 2 episodes were a little bit confusing. It was like, what's the vibe of this? This is very different tonally, quality, all of that was a given. It's like, yes, this is visually great, performances are great, characters, relationships, all that is there. But what's going on? Like, the flow, the pacing, the ambiguous endings to episodes 1 and 2, it was very much like, what is happening? Then episode 3 hits and you're like, oh, I get it now. It all freaking makes sense. But I feel like Even though they did release, yeah, they dropped all first 3 episodes. So
But after that, it was just week to week.
it was. So is that what caused people to maybe, because it kind of reset.
Yeah.
There was a climax in episode 3, and then it reset again for the Aldani arc, and I think that slow burn, I don't know, took it out of people.
But when you watch it consecutively, it's not a slow burn.
No, it's not.
It's great to watch it all consecutively.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, rewatching the whole season 1 again was a much more enjoyable experience, because we basically watched arc to arc to arc to arc in viewing, in each viewing sit down. So, like, the fact that they're releasing it this way for season 2, I think is going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolutely huge. And it will be a much better viewing experience for us collectively, because one, we get to talk about the beginning, middle, end arc of each of these 4 separate films, sequential plots. And yeah, we won't have the waiting in between episodes 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, where it's not the full conflict and we don't know what the full conflict is. Like, we'll get that
satisfaction.
That satisfaction. Just like when you go to see a movie, you know you're going to get the beginning, middle, end in one sitting when you sit down and watch the movie and commit the time to watch the movie, versus if it's just one episode to one episode to one episode, you don't know where it's going to end off. And if it doesn't have a nice ending, then that's a sour taste in your mouth, which is what one of the big critiques of going episode to episode over a longer period of time that you and I have had, like, been talking about.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. I saw that, and that news alone for me did way more to get me excited than the actual trailer. The music, yeah, like, it's got it's definitely a creative choice to have it, and there's a lot of symbolism there. And the trailer was paced well with the song, but watching it, like, the song itself, never mind the lyrics. For me, I'm way more about the instrumentals and the tone of, music than the actual lyrics. Like, I couldn't name, except for Tequila, I don't know the whole entire set of lyrics for, like, any song ever that in existence.
But that is clearly a personal.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. So, like, the lyrics, for me, it's way less about the lyrics. Like, you could say, that's why you have, like, spoof musicians and artists who just, like, make hilarious music, but it's got a sick beat to it. And it's, like, for me, I will sit there and listen to it, even if it's the most, like, crude, ridiculous lyrics ever. If it's got a sick beat, a nasty beat, I will listen to it. So, like, the song, the tone, like, feels very lighthearted and uplifting and high notes and happy-go-lucky, even though it's about a revolution, versus we know this show is insanely dark. It's an insanely dark tone and an intense tone. So tonally, the music didn't fit very well for what we know the tone of the show to be, but lyrically, yeah, it makes sense because it's talking about a revolution. So that's my musical analysis of why the music in the trailer personally did not work.
Rafe predicts, we're going to kind of jump on the chat here, it's going to be more Star Wars-ish with a faster pace. This season will be very different from the first. I kind of agree with that because gloves are off, so I predict it'll still probably have slow burn elements, but maybe not as much as season 1. I think it's going to get right more into it now. Sean, member for 16 months. Thank you so much, my friend. Hello, and here's to 16 months with more to come. Always grateful for this community. I will be home for celebration. Hopefully we'll get to one in the future. P.S. Cannot wait for your art on a jacket. And of course, here comes our resident marketing expert over here. Yes, in case you guys were not tuned in last week, I'm still recovering from making this jacket, hence why we don't have any different examples to show you guys. But for those who don't know, I'm on a quest to create our wardrobe for me and Tom for celebration, since cosplay is way too expensive and I'm nowhere near as good as that, as being able to do this and do some custom designs on some jackets. So I'm gonna crank out a few more for each of us to wear at celebration, but stay tuned because soon you will be able to, it'll go live on our website. We have a few more things. Actually, it's pretty much all ready to almost go. So stay tuned because you'll be able to order these, get them custom made. And it doesn't have to just be Star Wars themed. It can be anything under the sun, any fandom, any sports team, anything you want, band. anything you can think to
Your
put
grandma?
on the back of a jacket. Your grandma, as Tom says, in case you want to represent her face. Sal says, story-wise, it may be better to release 3 at a time to get that movie watching experience, rather than doing maybe 2 per week or 1 week by week. Sure, we would be talking about it, but it may be better this way. I do agree. I think if the episodes are meant to be consumed this way, then that's how it should be. Speaking of Cat and Tom, happy 60K. Thank you, Charlie. In fact,
Charlie?
today, I didn't even acknowledge that because it kind of just like happened. We had a very busy weekend a few weekends ago, and we hit 60K, and it was kind of just, we had a lot going on, so I failed to acknowledge it. However, today I filmed our guidelines for the 60K subscriber appreciation celebration event now that we have hit this milestone. Yes, if you're an eagle-eyed viewer, it was supposed to be for 50K, but I was procrastinating way too long, and in the meantime we hit 60K, so it's going to be a 60K celebration. Our last one was at 25K, so we'll see what happens this time around, but stay tuned because I'm going to be posting that this week. If you've been around in the past, it's no different than previous years, the parameters for submissions or whatnot, but the floor is open to anything that you could possibly document that you would be willing to share with everyone here on the channel. Whole purpose is to show you guys support, give you guys the spotlight and the shout out and the highlights that you deserve. So anything that you can think to submit, art, fan fiction, photography, music, songwriting, writing, poetry. Charlie does lightsaber videos that are epic. Even if you're an athlete and you have a video of you doing a 100-meter dash in record time or something like that, whatever you, if there's a way to document it, I want you to share it.
Gaming clips.
Literally good. That's a good one. It could be anything. If you got an epic Fortnite kill and you want to send that, send away.
Please do. That'd be sick.
Stay tuned because that'll be going up this week. So lots happening. A lot is coming to a head before we head out to celebration. But the goal is to have this, to have our subscriber celebration in early April before actual Star Wars celebration. Otherwise, I would just continue to procrastinate it, especially if Andor's going to be releasing 3 episodes per week. That is extra editing on my part, so I will be doing not much else. So stay tuned. Happy 60K. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm behind. I'm going to do a speed run. I can't wait for the jacket, says Charlie. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that y'all are excited. It really was better to binge it after it all aired, says Sal, in regards to season 1, and it was even better the second time around. Agreed. I'll watch season 1 again in April before season 2 drops, so that it'll be refreshed in my mind, says Matthew. Sean's gonna be doing the same. I got my mom into Andor a few months ago. Let's go, Emery's. Was thinking about them. How are Zach and Alex? Oh, they're doing good. Missing our evil Ewok crew. I hope they're doing well. I know, I miss it too. But everything's still great. I think they're all doing great. And of course, Alex, you'll be seeing him. If you're going to Celebration, we'll be reuniting there. So perhaps he'll be featured in some content and whatnot. Nick Gundy, let's go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Look at that beauty. I'm glad that you guys are excited about the jackets. I will definitely grab one ASAP. Same here, says Daddy Josh. Oh, and Avatar news. Yeah, what do you think? Yes, they're the new Avatar. Shoot, I didn't even think about that. I should have made a video talking about that.
They're done, right? We're talking about blue people or airbenders?
I'm talking about Airbender. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think.
Oh, Seven Havens.
Oh, Seven Havens. Is that
that's Airbender. That's not blue people.
Yeah.
Fire and Ash is blue people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shoot, I should have done a video like covering that. I want to finish Korra before I read too much more into the plot, because I saw a lot of Korra discourse following that announcement on Twitter, and I'm so close, y'all. I'm too close to have it spoiled, so I need to finish Korra and then read more into it, and then maybe I'll make a video covering my thoughts and predictions. The one plot point that I saw that I think is incredible is that the Avatar is going to be, it's twins, but only one of them is the Avatar. That's brilliant. That is genius. And if they made it so that the other twin isn't even a bender, which maybe that would be repetitive from some of the themes of Korra. And,
Yeah.
Sokka, for example, his whole arc was, he's surrounded by all these bending prodigies,
Yep.
but he offers something else to bring to the table, his
A boomerang
mind.
and sarcasm.
Yes. His engineering
Nothing
capabilities. Moral support, comedic relief.
Yeah.
He offers so much.
Sokka is great.
He has
I
so
love
many
Sokka.
amazing qualities that extend beyond being able to bend or whatever. So, I don't know if that would maybe be a repetitive arc to have if you have one twin who's the avatar. The tension, dynamic, the jealousy. I'd be freaking jealous if I was a twin, but I wasn't the avatar twin. Oh my god, that's so complex.
Yeah,
I
maybe
think
the twin will be a villain.
Oh my god.
The hatred of the twin.
I'm gagged. Oh my god, that would be amazing. I didn't even think about that. Shoot.
Azula Zuko-esque, but with the
Oh
avatar.
god. Anyways, hopefully you were asking in regards to actual Avatar. If not, we went on a little bit of a tangent. John Pitts is here. Hope you're having a great and awesome day. You too, John. Thank you so much for
Shout out to you, John.
always wishing us a wonderful day over here. So excited for the Avatar news too. New animated series coming following the Earthbenders. Yes. And the animated film should be coming first half of the year next year. That's right. There's a lot going on. There's a big revival, a big Avatar renaissance happening with Nickelodeon. My puppets crossed my mind as she announced a guideline video, says Nick Gundy. Yes, Nick always has some exciting stuff to share in our subscriber celebration streams. So I'm excited if you've got something. But of course, there's always also no pressure at all. If you'd prefer to just sit back, chill, and watch and help shower everybody else with praise and support, that is okay too. Do not feel like, oh my god, I have to submit something. No pressure at all if it would cause you any stress. And the deadline isn't until the end of next month. I'll list all this in the video, of course, when it gets published, but there's time if you wanted to think of something, if you wanted to do something specific for the stream, but there is never, ever any pressure. Oh, yes. I remember many years ago hearing about the next Avatar being a twin, and it's gonna happen. I know. I think it's a cinematic genius. Can't wait for the Blue People comes out a week before my birthday. For real. Talk about really exciting theatrical experiences. We haven't rewatched, probably because it's 3.5 hours long, but we haven't rewatched the second one since its theatrical release, but it was still really beautifully done.
It was.
So I'm excited for the Fire People next.
Yeah.
We're getting all the elements. It's kind of getting the Avatar treatment. We got water. We're getting into the Fire Nation of Pandora now.
Yeah. We started with air. So Earth is the fourth.
Shoot. Yeah.
Earth is the fourth movie. I guess it would be Pandora. Pandora bending.
That's something I hope to see, because I would love to see twin avatars to be like a dynamic duo or dynamic rivals. Oh, like if they both split avatar capabilities. Oh, that would be a first, I feel like, in the cycle. Started the Avatar Roku novel. Solid first chapter. Learned about the previous Fire Avatar before Roku. Very interesting. I might get into some of them to quell my void that's going to be in my heart after I finish Korra, which is why I've freaking drawn it out. Speak of procrastination. I have drawn out, my Korra reactions. It's been over a year since we started that show, but I just don't want it to be over. But this is reinvigorating news. This is a light at the end of the tunnel that Avatar we're getting another one. We're getting another cycle. So, I'll probably finish Korra and then maybe do more of a deep dive and share my thoughts fully on what they have planned for this next one. Because there's been quite a lot of Korra versus Aang discourse going on, and I want to do some sort of like commentary video about it to just share and summarize my thoughts on who I think is, not that one of them has to be better than the other, but Korra versus Aang, I know, is a big debate in the Avatar universe.
Aang ended the 100-Year War, is all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair.
That's all I'm going to say.
We know where you stand.
That's all I'm gonna say.
All I'm gonna say is there's definitely been moments during Korra where I am like, God dang, I might even. There's times where I favor her more than Aang. They just bring different things to the table, so I think I want to discuss it. But yes, lots is happening in the lexicon. Revenge of the Sith. April's gonna be stacked, y'all. I'm gonna be burnt out, candle at both ends, because one of you guys reminded me that we're getting The Last of Us in the beginning of April. That's coming out the week before Star Wars Celebration.
That's right.
We're gonna go to Star Wars Celebration, come back from Celebration, have 3 episodes of Andor to binge. We are going to be on fumes and a prayer, y'all. But it's all good things.
I need to replay Last of Us 2.
Clock's ticking. I need to actually play it.
You do need to play.
We both have to.
You could do that at night. You could do nighttime streams.
Could.
Last of Us 2.
Could do that. We concluded that Naughty Dog is not featured. They are not one of the struck companies in the video games, right?
Sure.
Correct?
Yeah.
So we're gonna double check that.
Pretty sure Last of Us is on the table. So.
But yeah, I've told you guys many times that I know the events because I watched you do the full story. But I never actually played it myself, and it looks significantly more difficult at times than the first game, so I'm definitely going to be playing on story mode as easy as I possibly can.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah.
Because
for all of our sake.
There was multiple levels that I had to stop after grinding because I was going to snap the controller and the TV and the console into multiple pieces. And I just had to stop and get up, walk away, because there are a few very, very challenging levels in that game.
Colin's peacing out. Have to go and get some sleep for some hours before I have to go to work. It is 2:40 a.m. Yes, thank you, Colin, for gracing us with your presence. It is always a nice treat, especially knowing with the time difference that it is wee early hours of the morning for you. So thank you so much, my friend, and have a great rest of your night. Sal says that Legend of Korra has some great story beats. The thought of non-benders being treated as second-class citizens, the water tramps being at war, and the Red Lotus being skilled martial art benders hunting the Avatar. For real, every season has been... What?
You're just going to skip over that hilarious comment?
From Stanley's?
Yeah.
Oh, God! I forgot the freaking reference! Oh God! Oh, Stanley's.
Bravo.
I forgot the reference momentarily.
We're big supporters of golf here on this channel.
Listen, it took me a hot second to
Catherine
get that.
got some nice golf shoes for Christmas, so.
Yeah. Retro has joined. What's up? What's up? Don't be sorry for being late. At least you're here. I recently played the Last of Us game, and I'm currently 7 episodes into the show. It's great. Highly recommend playing the game.
Awesome.
1,000%.
Yeah, both games. You gotta play both games. And you should, Daddy Josh, you should play the second game, try and get through it before season 2 of the show comes out.
You have like a month and a half.
Yeah.
You've got time.
Yeah.
You can do it. It is exponentially longer. It is many more hours. It is like double the runtime of the gameplay.
I think it's like triple. I think the first game, if you just play straight through, is like 12 hours-ish.
I swear, it was like 19 hours for the second one.
Was it only 19 for the second one? I was thinking it was like 40.
Part 2 game.
I mean, maybe it took me like 40 because I was getting crapped on.
Holy shnikes, it depends on how well you play. The main story of The Last of Us Part 2 takes about 23 to 26 hours to complete. This is if you focus on the main objectives and don't explore.
Completion is 43 hours.
Oh,
which, when I'm playing, it's more of that completionist type of time frame. Because I'm going into like every building, every window, looking for stuff, looking for all the articles, because all the things you pick up,
it's part of the story.
Expand to the lore. Yeah, so it's like I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a massive game.
Better get started. Get started. As Krennic would say, y'all. Speaking of, we're going to be seeing him in Andor Season 2. Do any of you guys think, I'm seeing other people theorize and maybe secretly manifest and hope, but do you think there could be any hidden secret cameos? Somebody mentioned Borgullet, and you know what? Somebody earlier in the chat, bring back Borgullet.
Borgullet origin story in Andor. We find out it's just a dude in a suit.
It could be very interesting to see Luthen. He's already kind of on a slippery slope with Saw Gerrera. They don't trust each other for sure.
Yeah.
It could be interesting to see if he falls into Saw's grip and Luthen falls victim to the Borgullet treatment. Because it's interesting.
Maybe.
They kind of have the energy of adversaries, but they want the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what's so dynamic, of course, about Saw Gerrera as a character. You know, he's ultimately fighting, I think, the hardest and the most hardcore to achieve, you know, a similar goal. But at what cost, you know? Borgullet knows the truth. He does. But yes, Sal's pointing out what I'm also hoping for. I think that we will see Galen Erso in season 2. Will we see Jimmy Smits? Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
I think we do. I think we see Jimmy Smits.
Because he gets involved with Mon Mothma.
Yeah. He's in Rogue One.
Yeah, and they're like buddied up.
Yeah.
They're fully aware of each other's plans.
Even in Revenge of the Sith deleted scenes. Bail and Mon Mothma and Padme and some other senators are all putting this idea together in Revenge of the Sith deleted scenes. So, yeah, I think Jimmy Smits is a lock. Galen, I don't know. I don't think we see Galen. The reason I don't think we see Galen is because Galen's story is very much about his role is tied to the destruction of the Death Star. Like, we know he's building it, but in the context of this show, it's about the
its fledgling state.
Yes, and it's about bringing this thing to an operational state. Versus the only reason Galen's involved in this time frame is because ultimately so that the rebellion finds out about its flaw that he designed. Yeah. But in the context of the show, I mean, we know it goes right up to Rogue One, but I think we see all we need to see of Galen's story in Rogue One. So
That's fair.
I don't think we're going to see Galen.
And that's a fair point, because it's like we already know his whole MO. We discover the big secret that he's been sacrificing his life, toiling away to destroy it from the inside, you know, betraying, you know, he serves the Empire, but he's secretly betraying it. So he's spending his life's mission to destroy it from inside out. So it's like we already have that revelation in Rogue One. If we were to see any of that behind the scenes, it's like we already know. That's nothing new. That wouldn't be anything new. Revolutionary. Like, oh my god, he's secretly sabotaging it from the inside. It's like, okay, we know that. It wouldn't really. It's still. I just loved Galen Erso as a character. So many characters from Rogue One. Yeah. And perhaps the desire is to see them again, just because they're such great characters and heroes that are forgotten in the scheme of things. And they all die, and it's like, I just want more of them, because I feel like they all deserve more, to have more of their stories fleshed out.
I mean, the one thing they could do is, like, you could have, like, if you showed the side of, like, Krennic pushing them insanely hard to get the Death Star done, then, like, they could certainly weave in, like, Edu and Galen and the people actually creating it. They could totally figure out a way to make it work. I don't think that they necessarily need to, but it's also a little mysterious what Krennic's real involvement is going to be with the show, because, like, we really, if it's just going to be about the rebellion starting, and Rogue One is really when they find out about the Death Star, like, it's not like this season of Andor is going to give us them finding out about the Death Star, because that's already what we got in Rogue One.
Only extent that I could see, because obviously season 1 ends with the reveal of Narkina 5 prisoners were laboring over the parts for the Death Star. Now that the prison's been essentially...
Well, that was just the one part. That was just the part for the reflector.
Yes, but it was a very essential, as all the prisoners deduced. They were like, they need us in here, whatever the frick we're making. We don't even know what it is, but it must be imperative to whatever the Empire is working on behind the scenes. The only thing I could see is, now that the whole system's been fractured because of the prison break, and yes, it was just one part, but it was very much an important piece.
Yeah.
I could see, obviously that's going to cause problems, and we never actually really saw any repercussions of that because that happens right before the finale, essentially. They escape from Narkina, and then Cassian heads back to Ferrix and whatnot, and it ends, but we don't see any of the fallout from, oh my god, this major prison system.
Yeah.
This huge cog in our machine of Death Star parts has been eliminated from the equation. What the frick do we do? They're stalled now.
Yep.
So I feel like we could see...
So it'll be getting Krennic getting it back on track.
Maybe.
You think? Yeah.
Because everything we know about his character is he's under severe pressure.
Yeah.
Trying to prove himself.
Yeah.
Too ambitious for his own good. So I feel like we could have him introduced. He's got sick everything. Listen, I just think is one of the best villains in Star Wars.
Look at that cape.
Crisp.
It just looks like a salt shaker from the back when you just show it from the back.
That little ASMR for my ASMR fans.
Someone else is asking Vader or Palpatine.
Oh.
Now, listen. If I am placing bets right now, I like the odds of Palpatine way more than the odds of Vader. Main reason is that they name drop Palpatine multiple times in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done a similar thing that Bad Batch did, which is where they've shown debates happening in the Senate chamber with no Palpatine because he's too busy to show up. Andor has the opportunity to do the exact same thing, where something so drastic happens that Palpatine shows up in the Senate and addresses everyone in person. Like, I think they have set that up to where it could totally happen. So I actually really, really like the odds of Palpatine showing up. Vader... Now, Vader is a much harder thing to think about. I think the one, because Vader is the enforcer. Vader is the brute force of the Empire, the ultimate brute force. So if Vader's going to show up, it means that the whatever mission the rebellion is on is so critical to protect, like what we see in Rogue One, where they are literally trying to get the Death Star plans and Vader is summoned. If there's some rebellion mission with similar weight, which perhaps like they are close to discovering something about the Death Star and they need Vader to show up and wipe them out, it would have to be something like that, to where they need brutal, well, the most powerful enforcer in the Imperial military to show up and squander their forces. Then that would make sense. One key point to justify that it might make sense for Vader to show up is that in A New Hope, Leia knows who Vader is. He's not like some shadowy figure that some part of the Senate or the rebellion or whoever, like, he's known. He's well known. So he can't be well known if he's just hiding around, not doing anything, not showing his face. And she refers to him as Lord Vader and Darth Vader. So this is an opportunity where Vader can show up and show some face to the rebellion in some way, shape, or form. What that would be? It would presumably have to be the rebels go on this daring mission and they get really, really close. And then Vader drops from the rafters and literally slaughters them all. I would be okay with that.
You do make a really good point because, we all thought, for example, in the Bad Batch that, oh, we're going to get a Vader cameo and it's fledgling Vader. We're going to see him in his infancy. And I think, that never happened. And I think it made sense for that show because, yeah, he was kind of just waiting in the wings, still being groomed, still healing, very much still in developmental stages. But yeah, by the time we get to New Hope, he's no secret. He's not just this hiding in the shadows Leia knows very well who he is and has this sense of familiarity, like she was expecting him to be there, you know?
Yeah.
So he has to get from that point A to point B where he is getting more involved and has this lethal reputation to the point that she's disgusted by him and knows well what he's capable of, you know? So you're not wrong. My only thought is, and some of you were saying earlier, like, that this show doesn't need those cameos. I 1000% agree. And I think Andor has proven itself as an exception from this latest trend that all the other shows have, which is they're not reliant on cameos, but there's a lot. There are a lot to the point that we just expect them now. We've been programmed by Star Wars as of late to believe, like, or just even what we're doing now, theorize and guessing. Oh my God, could we see XYZ?
The term cameo in the context of Star Wars doesn't make any sense to me, because you're in the Star Wars universe. If you're telling a story in the time frame when other characters you know are alive and well and existing in that same time frame, if they show up, it's not a cameo. They're existing in the same time frame. It's not like a real world movie where you have like like you have a Marvel movie and some like well-known celebrity is in a scene or something. Like that's like a cameo where like some person, or Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones, like that's a cameo.
Yeah.
That's a cameo.
I always freaking forget about that.
But Darth Vader or Palpatine showing up in a TV show about the Empire? How is that a cameo? That's not a cameo.
Yeah.
Now they're not going to become the main characters, but it's just like Rogue One. You didn't need to have Vader really at all in Rogue One. Rogue One would have been a pretty solid film without Vader showing up at all. They didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
But it was the icing on the cake, and it's the most delicious icing you could have possibly asked for.
See.
So I could totally see them doing something similar with this show.
Sheeran is a Lannister.
Where you have this storyline where it's focused on the main characters of the show, but then you have the higher powers at play, the ultimate bads of the Empire, show up to serve a nice slice of humble pie to our main characters. Show some extra adversity. It would just heighten the stakes.
I don't know if that's necessary, though. My whole point
I'm not saying it's necessary. It's not necessary at all.
Man, I've been...
But it's not a cameo if they show up, because they literally exist.
My whole point is, cameo or not, however you define cameo or not, this show, as you were pointing out, does such a good job of building those stakes by even just merely name dropping those characters. Like, yes, every time you hear them say Palpatine in Andor, which is only a few times, I think it's Yularen mentions that he spoke with him, and Mon Mothma mentions Palpatine. Every time there's weight to it.
Yeah.
When they do, you know that he is the big freaking man. Mon Mothma especially, it's like, oh my God, what must she think of him? Like, it sends a chill down your spine, even just the mere name drop of him. And that alone is enough to build this sense of stakes and this looming present danger. And it's like, Palpatine, yeah, you know he's waiting and he's looming, watching everything. But he's got all these underlings in Andor who are just as... You feel the stakes with them. They're answering to Palpatine, and they're like, we need to nip this shiz in the bud now, because we answer to the big man. And already letting all of this slide under our noses is making us look bad. So their fear of him is enough to fuel you with the fear. You know that he's, the big bad. So it's like, they've raised the stakes plenty by just having the ISB.
They keep building it and building it and building it and building it. With Yularen showing up at the end. They're building it. They are totally... The Andor Season 1 is just an escalator ride up.
Yeah, but...
Season 2 is going to be going to the second floor on the escalator.
You're saying that they're building it to an eventual Palpatine reveal?
Yeah, 100%. Just like Bad Batch did. And that Bad Batch episode where he comes out onto the Senate floor and surprises everybody.
That was sick.
Like, Bad Batch did the same thing, where you get the sense of senators, of what's going on, and Rampart, like, you get the sense of, this is a big deal. But then when the big man pops out, rises from the floor, and the room goes dead silent, and he starts talking, like the weight of that and the payoff of that is completely worth it. And I think that Andor is doing the same thing, because I think Lucasfilm was like, oh my God, the reaction to that episode in Bad Batch was insane. And so doing that in a live action setting here, where the rebellion has grown to the point where it's gone up through serial boy, and then ISB agent, and then head of the ISB, and then now Admiral Yularen. We can't go much higher, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't go much higher. You can't escalate the direct involvement up the Imperial chain a much higher. Eventually, and where season 1 left off, you're already very, very close to former Chancellor, now Emperor, Chief Palpatine, Darth Sidious, having to get involved to squander this once and for all.
Sorry, y'all. Our neighbors are out there slamming doors. That's why I thought we had a ghost in here, which we do. Y'all know we've got a ghost going on in here, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it would be a no. We could get mention again. I would not be shocked if we get mention and name drop, because I think a presence like Darth Vader, for example, is...
Vader would be more out of left field than Palpatine.
He would be, but I think it could be interesting if the Rebels get word of like, oh, there's this freaking Sith Lord, this dog of Palpatine's that's out here eviscerating our factions, you know?
Yeah.
If they're trying to stage missions again, because obviously the hammer is coming down after Aldhani. That was a fat embarrassment for the Empire, and so they are going to start being like, bring out the big guns, bring out your...
The
like...
more the rebellion grows, the bolder they get, attacking more advanced facilities, then there's going to be a stronger response. And we've already got in season 1 Palpatine directly ordering this first level response. If that's not good enough, he knows where the rebellion's coming from. He knows where it has to be getting funding from the political body that he oversees. So if it gets to a certain point, he is going to have to come out and show some type of face. And we know in A New Hope, I mean, they abolished the Senate, the Imperial Senate, within like the first 30 minutes of A New Hope.
Well, that's what Matthew's saying.
So,
here's a thought. Would the reveal be the scene where he permanently dissolves the Senate that Tarkin alludes to in A New Hope? Maybe.
I don't think so, because when A New Hope starts, the Imperial Senate is still intact, because Leia says, like, I'll take this back to the Senate, or she says some line about the Senate. So like at the very beginning of A New Hope, the Senate is still standing. So unless they bleed in to after, and like we get like it does kind of like what Clone Wars season 7 does, and like blurs around the piece of media that we already know. In Clone Wars 7 season 7 case, it's Revenge of the Sith. In this case, it's Rogue One. So if like the ending of that last arc is really like, oh, now the rebels have blown up the Death Star, and then Palpatine is at that point like, or they have the plans for the Death Star, and now Palpatine is like fully invested, and he shows up, and like Vader's the one who tells him that they have the plans, and then he freaks out, and then Mon Mothma like makes the rebellion like official and stands up to the Senate, and then has to like leave. Like they could do that, and that could be in a time frame set within the A New Hope time frame after Rogue One, and that could make sense. They could do that.
There's a lot of possibilities. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't have much longer. This is the one good thing about when they drop trailers right up until the freaking tail end before the show premieres. At this rate, we have less than 2 months until we're going to find out. And then in that span of time, we don't even have to wait the whole 12 weeks. We're going to have it all in 4. So lots to freaking look forward to. Lots to expect. This was good. This got my gears turning, because yeah, it's like I know Andor season 2 is going to be epic. Andor, as you guys learned from our recent tier ranking, is my favorite of the shows. this trailer, admittedly, I don't think revealed much more beyond the story other than what we already know, which is everybody's getting their skin in the game, but I don't care. I'm set either way. And frankly, I don't mind not knowing that much going in because, you know, it leaves room to be surprised. And that's an element of this show that I think, you know, they continue to just shock you with the emotion, character relationships, the sacrifices I think are going to step up in season 2 and beyond the tragedy. So we've got a lot in store. So
I mean, we know that the intensity of the last arc is going to be insane because the amount of time that passes between Rogue One and Alderaan being decimated by the Death Star is very, very, very little. It's a very small portion of time. So if, I think, Matthew, to your point, the rebels steal the plans on Scarif, then Palpatine goes full throttle, disbands the Imperial Senate, like, immediately, completely tightens the grip on the Empire, saying, you need to find where the rebel base is, because they have the plans to the Death Star, and we need to destroy them once and for all before they destroy the Death Star. Like, all of that political change and turmoil and the destruction of Alderaan, like, all of that happens in such a short amount of time that I think it makes total sense for, like, us to get a sense for what the change in Imperial policy is in response to the rebels now having the plans to their ultimate battle station that no one was supposed to know about.
Yeah.
Like, that has got to send Palpatine completely over the edge. And you're going to get that Sith rage, not the political face and manipulator, the Sith rage.
Well,
hopefully.
We'll have to wait and see. On that note, I think that'll do it for us this evening, folks. Not much longer, again, until we're going to find out. So stay tuned, of course, for Andor reactions and all the Andor coverage on this channel. It's coming close. So
shout out Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah, that too.
See you in April.
Lots going on in April. So we are locked in, ready to go, ready to send off. It's going to be a great month, but until then, we'll see you guys. We still have all of March to go, but hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so very much for joining us, where we can finally discuss Andor Season 2 now that we've been blessed with the trailer. Lots of good news. Revenge of the Sith back in theaters. Star Wars is alive. It's a great time to be alive. April especially will be a banger, but until then, hope you guys are doing so very well. Stay tuned for, again, that 60K subscriber celebration video with the parameters and guidelines and whatnot for submissions. That'll be released later this week, so stay tuned. But until then, I hope you guys are doing so well as always. We wish you a great rest of your day, night, morning, evening, 3 a.m., wherever you may be. Go rewatch the Andor trailer, get hyped, go rewatch Season 1, and we will see you guys again very, very soon.
Go rewatch Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars, all 7 seasons.
That especially.
Rebels and Bad Batch and Phantom Menace and Attack of Clones and The Acolyte. And
then
you've watched everything. Oh, Clone Wars movie. Rada the Hutt, shout out.
Go inflict all the emotional damage. And we'll see you again.
Is Rada the little runt Hutt in Clone Wars movie?
Yeah.
That's Rada? Okay.
Yep.
Shout out Rada.
Jeremy Allen now, so we'll see. We're going to have ripped Rada the Hutt. We'll find out. Until then, we'll see you guys again very, very soon.
Shout out Darth Neighborins for subscribing.